What we are now getting you immediately is also the caste breakdown as per the Axis My India poll. Maria, you've got the details of the caste breakdown because remember in Bihar we can discuss the Mahila factor and we will discuss that and the Yuva factor, the new MY as it's called. But ultimately caste is an enduring reality. If these are the big numbers, Maria, 43% to the NDA and 41% to the Mahagathbandhan, where are the votes coming from? What is the kind of caste coalition that is working for the NDA and what is working for the Mahagathbandhan?
So if you look at the direct calculation, Rajdeep, 37% last time to 43% right now as is being projected by Axis My India. Is this coming from the Paswans? If you look at it, their caste-wise breakdown is that Paswan's actual percentage is 5%, of which 64% have voted for the NDA as per Axis My India. And when we look at the crucial EBCs, they are 15%. And because we are looking at EBCs just as EBCs, they're not adding the Kurmis, the Telis. In that, 61% have voted for the NDA, which essentially means that not much of the EBC mobilization has happened outside the crucial, that aspect of it, which is the Mallahs. So if you look at it, if you break down that further, Ravidas, however, have more a percentage, they have tilted towards the MGB. They are in all 5%, of which 36% have gone to the MGB, 32% to the NDA. SCs, again, if you look at it, 52% have gone towards the NDA. This is out of the total percentage of their population, which is 5%. So the number which I'm looking at is, again, the EBCs, which is 15% in all, 61% still going towards Nitish Kumar and realizing that he is that person who can consolidate the EBCs minus the Mallahs.
So you're saying about 60% plus of 15%. Total EBC is 26%. Am I correct? But you're not including here.
No,
if you add the Paswanda
yes.
Muslims, it becomes 36. 26% EBCs, but you have taken essentially the you've taken out Kurmis, Koiris out of that.
Absolutely.
And therefore, Pradeep Gupta and Axis is looking at 15% and Kurmis, Koiris separately.
Yes,
and
Kurmis,
Kushwas.
yes, so according to Pradeep Gupta's Axis My India, Kurmis of 4% Kurmis, 68% have gone towards the NDA. Again, in that, if you look at Telis, an important constituency, there was this calculation that because of IP Gupta, there would be a shift towards the Mahagathbandhan. That doesn't seem to be happening. Teli in all have 3%, of which 61% is going towards the NDA.
Okay, so essentially we've got Muslims and Yadavs firmly with the MGB.
Yes.
MGB getting a section of the Dalit vote, but MGB not getting the extremely backward castes and other groups that they need in a way to try and go ahead of the NDA as per the poll. Remember, these are exit poll findings. These are not final findings. But I want reactions again to that, what you're just hearing on this caste breakdown. Are you surprised at all, Manisha Priyam? It seems more or less caste identities are holding. We can talk about Mahila, we'll talk about, but the caste identities as per the Axis My India poll are by and large holding. Small dents made in the Dalit vote, but not large enough for the Mahagathbandhan to topple the NDA at the moment.
So two things. In the caste alliance that you see from the caste prism, then that will tell you that the dominant Yadavs form the core bank of the MGB and the Kurmi-led coalition of the EBCs. Remember, there's a leader for the EBCs, which are the Kurmis. That sustains the NDA on the other side. The only dent that happens is in the areas where the CPIML is strong, and there you see the Kanus chipping it away on behalf of the ideology-led coalition led by the CPIML, the Dalits, the Mahadalits. So that's the area, the regional map. This time around, the BJP's tried to breach it. Let's see how far they can go in terms of breaching what is the CPIML stronghold.
Rajdeep, if I could quickly come in, the Mahagathbandhan may have talked about trying to breach it and moving forward, but are they getting the VIP votes in their favor? Look at their friendly fights that are happening. The so-called friendly fights, they're happening with the VIP, which is seen as an alliance partner.
Has he given a separate Mallah?
Look at Chainpur, look at Baldur.
What is the Mallah vote?
46%
of
is
Mallah
going
vote?
to of Mallah vote going to NDA,
Correct.
40% going to MGB.
So they've taken it, Rajdeep. That means if 40% has gone to the Mahagathbandhan, that clearly suggests that the vote has split, which had en masse in 2020. Nearly all of it had gone to the NDA. It has split and it has gone to the MGB.
Can I just ask you though, Preeti, you traveled through some of the Malla areas. Now, these are fishermen in large parts of Bihar along the Ganga. The fact is they're about 3-4%. No one has an exact number of the total number across, but they are in almost every constituency in a large belt, in Mithilanchal, in Tirhut, in large parts. I want to understand, the MGB announced Mukesh Sahni as their Deputy Chief Minister. Despite that, they've not got a majority. The point is, the MGB was obviously hoping that they would sweep this Mallah vote by putting up a Deputy Chief Minister.
Rajdeep,
that has not happened.
No, I've travelled the entire length of the riverine belt where, the population of Mallahs is a lot. The VIP actually only has influence in the upper north area, Madhubani, Darbhanga. This is where the VIP actually holds. You go down to Gaya, if you meet a Mallah, he doesn't even know who Mukesh Sahni actually is. So that there is a difference. The Mahagathbandhan was hoping to break that 3 to 4% vote and pull in a segment to it. That, if I'm going to look at these numbers, if 40% of the Mallah vote has actually gone to the MGB, then the MGB has done its job in terms of fracturing the Mallah
But
vote.
I'll give you an interesting story that a Congress leader who was working in one of those areas told me. He said, "Abhi bhi un area mein logon ko lagta hai ki VIP तीर के साथ है." So breaking that is not easy. The symbol association has remained in a way with Nitish Kumar. I want to understand that this EBC vote, Sajjan Kumar, very quickly, because many believe that we look at Nitish Kumar and yes, Mahila first leader, brought in prohibition, brought in reservations in local bodies, brought in cycles for girls, but he has consciously cultivated the EBCs who felt left out of Lalu Prasad's social justice revolution. Explain to us the importance of the EBC factor.
Look, in Bihar, EBCs has been
Extremely backward caste for viewers.
has been constituted. So there has been a subcategory within the OBCs since 1978 when Karpuri Thakur came, and he carefully nurtured and ensured that the leadership of backward caste should not go into the hands of the dominant OBCs, which came in 1990 with Lalu Prasad Yadav for the first time into the hands of the Yadavs, and thereafter they felt left out because overwhelmingly it catered to the Yadavs. So when Nitish came into power, he carefully nurtured EBCs by schemes and by ensuring that the women, by the law and order plank and by welfare schemes, they are given priority. So shashan and ration both were the plank which nurtured them as a formidable constituency, and they came together. And that is why still you see in their everyday experience, what they see that which leadership is providing them a sort of assurance in terms of welfare schemes as well as in terms of a better perception of law and order. And on this both plank, he remains the trusted leader.
You know, I just want a quick point from Javed Ansari, because this has been a problem that the Mahagathbandhan has faced, the fear of Jungle Raj. And EBCs in particular have felt that if Lalu Prasad's son comes back, Yadav Raj comes back. And that has, in a way, these EBCs voted for Lalu Prasad, 1990, 1995. They are the ones who've drifted away. Do you sense that Lalu Prasad still haunts Tejashwi in some way in the Mahagathbandhan if these numbers hold?
Yes, and I think Tejashwi has failed in emulating the kind of, in broadening his tent and emulating Akhilesh. Akhilesh also suffered. Samajwadi Party also carries this baggage of over-Yadavization. But there he spread the tent. In the last Lok Sabha elections, through PDA, he brought in other backward castes. Tejashwi has not been able to do it to the extent they ought to have done. And because they failed to chip away enough and more of EBC and Mahadalits, and therein lies the reason for the performance.
You know, it's interesting because Tejashwi gave 51 seats to Yadavs, 19 to Muslims, 18 to Muslims. So 69 out of his 140 odd are Muslims and Yadavs. He tried to give EBCs and Kushwas in particular, hoping that he could attract them. But it is not easy to build that kind of coalition. Yes.
There was an infighting going on within the RJD and the VIP, within the RJD and the Congress, within the RJD and the, IP Gupta's party. So when all of this is happening, how will you bring in caste? So much so, Mukesh Sahni's brother, Santosh Sahni, had to step down for an RJD candidate. One seat, Gaura Boram. Look at Chainpur, Brij Kishore Bind in RJD versus Govind Bind of the VIP. And instead of taking on the JDU, they're taking on each other. There's another example in Beldor, where the Nishad party, Mithilesh Kumar Nishad versus the IIP candidate instead of taking on the JDU. So
But
look
Rajdeep,
at this infighting.
One minute. There are more numbers.